Those of you who are here for the Stereo Dust Particles All Stereo Marathon New Year's Bash series of live shows over December 31st, 2016 and January 1st, 2017 today, well, might know what this is. This is the live streaming setup I had for my short little live streaming segment on today, January 1st. It's only an hour long, but it was definitely quite successful from what I could tell. But I figured now that that's over, I figured I'd give you all a little tour of the setup I put together here, and hopefully this won't turn into much of an epic, with all manner of tangents and things. But yeah, this is the studio that I've taken to calling the TV table studio, given the table it's based around. This is the main kind of column of equipment is based around this little wooden cross-leg table that could kind of be used, or it was, at least in my house, at one point used as sort of a TV table, just kind of a, not really a coffee table, but just kind of a little thing that you could pull up in front of the couch and put some food on or something while you're watching TV. So that's hence the name. I figured a TV table studio kind of has at least something of a ring to it, at least to me, at least. I thought it sounded pretty good. So figured I'd call it that. But yeah, so it's based around this table here, along with these kind of thingies out to the side, the little additions, given you couldn't fit everything onto a TV table. I mean, I suppose I could have, stuck in a KVM switch or something and really gotten everything into the table, but it would have made it a pain in the butt to operate, frankly. But yeah, so let me show you around here. We'll start behind camera, or at least out of view. This is actually my main desktop here on my desk. It was functioning as a stream encoder. We got Flash Media Live encoder there, dealing with iVlog. And then we've got the aptly named Broadcast Using This Tool, or BUT, operating the audio-only stream on Rockin' Waves. So this worked quite well for this little setup. It was capturing video off this little USB stick here. And then the audio, while I had it hooked up to go into that stick, it turned out that audio input actually had a slight hiss to it. So I ended up just using the USB interface on my mixer board over there to do that, although I just kind of left this connected as a backup. Over here we got the camera. This is a Hitachi VM-H835LA High 8 camera. It's just providing a composite video feed through here into my little AV switcher, kind of hidden under the monitor there. And over here we've got this little Vizio TV here. I normally use that for testing VCRs and things like that on this kind of pseudo workbench. So I got some random little projects and things sitting on there. But it was in a convenient spot, so I just wired that up as a monitor. And then if we come over here, behind the table, we've got the chat monitor computer, which is just on the iVlog website, and you can see the next show is up now. And the interesting thing is, this is a Pentium 4 HT running Windows XP Professional. And yes, I know it's out of support, because I know somebody at some point is going to mention that, and yes, I know it's out of support, and I know what the risks are, and well, this is the only thing it's doing, so I figure it's not a terribly big deal to have it do one thing for, a few hours. So, but it definitely did quite nicely. I mean, you can see just running this show here, we've got, all 5 procams and the main video running flawlessly on this, and frankly I'm amazed. This thing's really given quite the value for the money here. It's a Dell Optiplex GX620 sitting down. Let me get some light down there with the trusty flashlight. We got an Optiplex GX620 small form factor machine down there. Top of that, in the middle, you got a Fisher FVH4910 VCR sitting there. I use that to archive the show on VHS. Now, of course, why VHS, you may ask? Well, because you can use Flash Media Live encoder to just record an FLV. Well, the answer is because I can. Because I felt the need to do something pointless. It's definitely the sarcastic side of if you like good ideas right there. But yeah, so that's basically what that was about. Got this realistic so-called personal receiver, which for whatever reason has 3 Goodwill price tags on top of it. It was sitting here serving as the amp for these realistic Minimus 7 monitor speakers. Well, they're not really monitors, but they served as monitors. They did the job quite nicely. This is just a gateway flat screen monitor I had floating around from about 2002, as I recall. I had to do a capacitor replacement in this thing at one point because the bunch of capacitors and the inverter board went out. That was a fun little repair. And then down here is that video switcher I was talking about. Let's see if we can get some light on the front panel here. It's an Archer special effects switcher. You can tell I'm using a lot of Radio Shack house brand equipment here. It's very simple, it just kind of does different fade in, fade out sort of things. You know, it doesn't actually mix two sources together, but it'll do things. We'll zoom in on the monitor and I'll show you. I got one in fact queued up here. You can do something like that. Oh, and there's me. So yeah, that's how that works. It did not act up very much during the show, which was surprising given it had been acting up a lot previously. Oh man. Well, over here we've got an Encore TA 2026 cassette deck. This served to play actually an Alan Sherman song off a cassette during the show. It's definitely, that worked quite nicely. You know, I like the fact that it can do the automatic music search in both directions. So you can actually, it makes it quite easy to queue up a song because you can just you just let it go for you just put it into a queuing mode on the board and then just listen through headphones or something to find your spot, and then this will just find the beginnings of songs for you. So that's always handy. Up here we've got this Gateway laptop, which is serving to play out computer-generated graphics just using a LibreOffice presentation. Very simple. We've got my Allen & Heath Z10FX mixer board here. This was just serving as the primary mixer for the feed. It just took in, the mic, music player, computer, and cassette deck, mixed that all together, allowed me to, I just kind of used the record bus select buttons as mute switches in a way. Kind of a cheap way of doing it, but it definitely makes it a little closer to the broadcast consoles I'm used to, which is handy. Up here we've got this blue Encore 200 mic. I got this on a buy one get one free offer. I wouldn't have paid full price for a nice mic like this, but if you're going to give me two for the price of one, then maybe I'll go for it. Definitely worked very nicely in the show. The interesting thing about this mic is that, as you saw, I actually have phantom power turned on over there, and while this is actually a dynamic mic, it must have some kind of processor circuit or something like that in it, because it does require phantom power. So if you get one of these and you can't get it to work, make sure your phantom power is on. And then over here, finally, we've got the music playback computer. This is an HP D530 small form factor desktop. This has a standard Pentium 4 in it. It's a little lower end than the GX620 over there, but it still did just fine. We got this little combined keyboard touchpad unit. These are very handy. If you find one of these floating around, try to pick it up if you can, because these are very handy, especially for testing things. You just plug in one USB cable and you go. It makes things nice and simple. And then on here we're running Ubuntu Mate, or Mate, depending on which of the two words that are spelled that way they're actually trying to reference in that name. It's definitely this particular desktop environment is, if you haven't heard of it, it's basically a fork. Well, basically it is a fork of the classic GNOME 2 series desktop environment. So if you learn Linux on that environment, if that works well for you, definitely give this a shot. It's, as you can see, it's running quite nicely on, well, can't really see it because can't see how well it's running given it's not doing much of anything right now, but you'll have to take my word for it that it was doing quite nicely on a Pentium 4. So even as Ubuntu may not be the lightest thing ever anymore, but with this desktop environment, it does quite nicely. So it definitely worked quite nice. I mean, yeah, it'll get a little slow if you're, playing a FLAC file here and then you try to open Firefox at the same time. But, well, it's a single-threaded machine. It can only do so much. As for the software, this is a little program I wrote over about the past week. It's a simple Java program called the SDP Mueller-Caster Console. It's basically kind of a two-in-one thing. We've got a 16-slot soundboard up here, which, it's just standard. You load audio files in. Oh, my camera's complaining about low battery, so I better hurry this up. Load audio files in, and then you can trigger them at the push of a button. Surprisingly, I didn't have to use that cut in the show. I was totally expecting to have to. And then down at the bottom here, we've got this little 2-deck music player. You just load a song in each one, you play one, and then when it's time to segue into the next song, you just hit play on the other one, and it'll just overlap them. About as simple as you can get with that. I built this because I actually could not find a suitable 2-deck music player that could run under Linux and was not horribly bloated with extra features I didn't need. So I just ended up taking this on as a little project, and it worked quite well on the air. So I think I'll actually see about putting this up for download. That could be, I'm sure it could be useful to other people. I'll probably put a link in the SDP forums. But yeah, so this setup all worked pretty well. So hopefully I'll be able to continue with this. You do more live streams. I mean, I probably wouldn't end up doing it here, given I'm only home on break from college. I'm not here much, so I'll probably end up having to take this down and relocate it elsewhere if I want to do more live streams. But it's definitely shows that with spare equipment I've got lying around, I can definitely make it happen. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get somewhere with this. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more while I've got some free time with which to make videos here.